So many people were leaving comments on the last video that I made regarding Piers Morgan being a complete and utter liar and his audience calling him out for his lies. And when Piers Morgan hears the truth, he doesn't accept the truth. He may ask for the truth as well, but he refuses to actually hear it. And one thing that we actually are quite certain of right at the moment is that Piers Morgan is now an anti-Semite. It seems like he is so vehemently against Israel. And loads of people were commenting on the video that I made about Piers Morgan and saying, have I seen the recent debate that he had with the likes of Natasha Hertzstorf, who's a UK barrister and an international law expert, versus the likes of comic Dave Smith? Two totally different career choices. One is actually more of an expert on something than Dave Smith is, but hey, Dave Smith is the one that has the biggest mouth of the group. And so Piers Morgan decides to have an expert on to talk about the war that is going on between the terrorist organization and Israel at the moment. And well, every single time Natasha tried to get a word in, Piers Morgan interrupted her. He was utterly deplorable and it was disgusting behavior. He wouldn't even let her talk, let alone share the facts. He wouldn't hear it. And that's exactly what Piers Morgan does. So here is a clip that you need to actually watch. I'm pretty sure many of you have actually seen it, but you don't believe that those children were killed. Piers Morgan goes, wow, that is incredible. Now, I'll let you guys see it, and then we'll make a couple of comments after that, shall we?
I was told by the ambassador to UK it was a blood libel for me to suggest that Israel had killed children in this war.
I don't believe that was the case. I think it was to do with targeting children.
No.
There is a difference.
Right.
Because we are hearing that Israel is targeting children, and that couldn't be further from
Well,
the fact,
last week, 9 out of 10 children in one home where 2 doctors reside were killed in an airstrike.
Well,
what was that?
Remarkable.
Well, what was that?
That has been based only on the basis of hearsay.
You don't believe that story?
Information. I want these stories.
Wait a minute. You don't believe that those children were killed?
I have seen conflicting accounts, and I want that story to be properly investigated before the international media runs with it. I have.
You think those 2 parents, one of whom I think operated on one of the children?
I have a question.
You think that those 2 doctors, the parents, they just made it up?
Why are
that
those
9 of their
children
10 children had been blown to pieces by an Israeli airstrike?
If this is true,
you don't believe it?
Well, why on earth was artificially generated imagery used to promote this story when it first happened?
I've got to say, Natasha, I think what you've just said about that family is despicable.
We've seen time and time again.
It's despicable.
Blood libel? As
somebody, you talk about blood libel, like Dave said, you talk about blood libel, you talk about lies,
all I said,
you talk about promoting propaganda, and here you sit here as a lawyer and you say that you do not believe those 9 children were killed.
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Do you believe it or not?
I said that there were conflicting accounts.
Believe it?
And it needs to be investigated.
Do you believe it?
I thought you would be the
parents said 9 of their 10 children were killed. Do you believe them or not? Or did those 2 doctors make it up?
They haven't said that directly as far as I have seen. I have seen second-hand accounts and hearsay. But it's important to ask, why are these civilians still there? Why is it that
it's important to ask whether you believe that family have lost 9 of their 10 children.
I want to know why the international community...
Do you? You don't. And this goes to the point that I would say about Israel generally now, in this war now. Israel says they don't believe anything. Every story that comes out about the deaths of civilians in Gaza,
because there is
someone will pop up representing the Israeli government saying, it's propaganda, it's not true, I've heard it's not right, I've heard it didn't happen.
There is a brilliant lawyer debating the likes of 2 nitwits that are so easily led astray by propaganda. Whether or not this story is actually real, whether or not 9 out of 10 children were killed, that, if it is in fact true, we don't know that it is indeed actually true because, as the lawyer said, there are conflicting accounts. That completely went over Dave Smith and Piers Morgan's head. Oh, I don't care about the fact there may be conflicting accounts. I don't care about the track record of lies throughout so many other of these stories that were coming out. It's the same thing when Israel was claiming that the terrorists actually burned babies in the kibbutzes. And that, by the way, if you read Douglas Murray's book on democracies and death cults, you would know that he's seen what took place. So we have actual evidence to support the facts. As a lawyer that Natasha Hertsdorf actually is, Piers Morgan asked for the truth. She was giving him the truth, but he refused to hear it. And you heard him going, wow, you don't believe it? You don't believe it? I'm sorry, Piers Morgan, but I thought you were a journalist. I thought journalists were supposed to actually get the facts before just going off of, oh, it's hearsay. Oh, the two doctors said that this actually happened. Because they're doctors, that means I'm supposed to believe them, does it? There's, like Natasha said, we don't actually have any of the evidence. Why is it that a AI-generated image was used? If we don't actually have pictures on the ground that happened, that it shows that it actually happened, why are we using AI? There is so much misinformation coming out of that part of the world at the moment, both on Israel and on the terrorist organization side. So how do we trust anything? And Natasha is right. She's spot on. Until we see actual evidence that 9 out of 10 children were in fact killed by Israel, why should we go along with the story? It's like the same thing with the BBC spreading lies that they had to actually retract recently with the IDF firing upon the Palestinians that are trying to get aid. Like, to me, I'm looking at this and I'm going, I see the hate in Piers Morgan's eyes. You can see the vitriol. You know why he's doing that? Because it looks good for him. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't want to hear the truth. And you know what? Instead of actually being a proper, well-measured journalist, you saw him just go straight directly for Natasha's jugular. How dare you? And when it comes to the subject of kids, I understand that the emotion runs high. It really does. Whenever you mention kids being unalived or whatever else, it breeds a level of true emotion, especially in adults. We're like, this is horrible. Indeed, it is actually horrible. But until such time as we have actual evidence, we can't just go off face value or stories, especially from that region. Same goes with Israel. You need the truth. You need cold, hard facts. That's all Natasha was doing and trying to point Piers Morgan's towards. Same with Dave Smith. And Dave Smith, going talk about blood libel. The whole issue has always been whether or not Israel is purposely targeting children. They're not. You have to be honestly sick in the head to think that Israel, of all people, the only democracy, would in fact go out of their way and target children. Now, if the evidence was clear as day, which it's not, but if it was that Israel was going out of its way and purposely targeting children to end their lives, that is twisted and sick, and so be it. There are consequences to those actions. But they're not purposely targeting children. They are purposely targeting the terrorist organization that is using children as their shield, as cannon fodder. Now, this is the same Piers Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, that vehemently defended Israel not that very long ago when he had Dan Bilzerian on his show, the rabid anti-Semite that was saying that Israel was responsible in World War II for transgender surgeries. Same Dan Bilzerian that was talking a lot of nonsense, and Piers Morgan did the exact same treatment. He does it all the time. If he disagrees with you, just because it looks good for him, he wants those clicks, ladies and gentlemen, he will interrupt like there is no tomorrow, and people are getting jack of it. He's been called out, and this is what Piers Morgan responds to all of the negativity. I'll read a couple out in a moment for you, just so you know. He goes, some people think I was a little too harsh on Natasha Hertsdorf last night. So I watched this clip back and concluded I wasn't harsh enough. What a proud, arrogant bastard you are, Piers Morgan. Pride comes before a what? You literally didn't let her get a word in. You're deplorable. Your actions as a journalist just shows I was right. It's gutter journalism for you. Absolutely despicable to cast doubt over the verified deaths of 9 children. Verified deaths of 9 children? Natasha, the lawyer here, you're not, says that there are conflicting accounts. So where's the verified information on the deaths of these 9 children, I wonder? You yourself claim to be a professional journalist. You've got a team of people. Why didn't you show the facts? That's what I'm curious about. Natasha Hertzstoff goes, for too long, comedians, influencers, and conspiracy theorists have perpetrated the conflict with circus act entertainment that means innocent people continue to suffer. Hit the nail right on the head once again. You have these people like Dave Smith and many others, and Piers Morgan throws Douglas Murray under the bus. Have a watch of this video, ladies and gentlemen. This one should tell you everything you need to know about Piers Morgan's behavior. Not the one before. That one was pretty bad. This one, ladies and gentlemen, is shocking.
Israel has decided no journalists from outside can go in.
For 3 reasons.
And make that assessment themselves.
Yes.
What right does Israel have to do that?
For 3 reasons. Will you allow me to finish?
Well, there are no reasons.
It's
none of your business whether the journalists view their safety as being at risk.
I'm sorry, you haven't heard the reasons yet. The first, of course, is the safety of the journalists, and I appreciate you don't accept that. The second...
I think it's a load of nonsense.
The second is the safety...
The idea you're doing is that some quaint concern for the safety of journalists is bullshit.
That was reason number one. Reason number two is the ability...
These better get better.
...is the ability of IDF soldiers to be able to conduct this war against us without...
without the journalists getting in the way?
No, without...
They've actually, by the way, they've killed more journalists in Palestinian journalists than any war
members
in modern
wearing
history.
press vests are not journalists. And reason number 3...
So none of them are journalists?
And reason number 3...
So just to be clear, none of the Palestinian journalists who've been killed are actually journalists.
I said Hamas members.
Oh, they're all Hamas members?
Those that are... And
every single dead Palestinian journalist is a member of Hamas. Is that your position?
No, listen, I appreciate Piers.
That is also bullshit.
But misrepresenting... misrepresenting every
So that's 2 out of 2. What's the
right?
third reason?
Our mutual friend Douglas Murray was embedded with the IDF in Lebanon.
You said the words yourself. I love Douglas, but he was embedded with the IDF.
Right.
He's unbelievably pro-Israel.
Let me finish.
So of course he was going to write what he witnessed while embedded with the IDF.
No, let me finish what his experiences there were. The difference is that in Lebanon...
You have to tell me.
There is something I think that you won't have heard. The IDF are able to allow journalists into Lebanon. He wasn't the only one. There were many other international journalists with him.
There have been a tiny...
Those other international journalists with him were very clear.
There have been a tiny handful of journalists led in by the IDF in tightly controlled environments to witness what the IDF were prepared to let them see.
And you know what those journalists
actually, what it needs this war to stop the shit, which is out of control, by the way, in this last 3 minutes.
I honestly had enough. I couldn't go on or record any more of that. But Natasha kept saying, would you allow me to finish? She had 3 good points of why Israel won't allow the journalists into Gaza at the moment, the international journalists. And Piers, I've said many times, mate, you're more than welcome to go over and, hey, Israel, IDF, let him in. See what happens to Piers Morgan if he goes in. You know, you talk a great game. You talk about, it's not right that the IDF won't allow the international journalists in. What are they trying to hide, you know? All right, IDF, let the international journalists in and see what the terrorist organization decides to do with them, because I guarantee you they probably won't last very long at all. There's a reason why they say for their safety, and some of people go, oh, no, Jay, it's not really for that. They're trying to cover up the truth. And then you've got the terrorist organization members with journalist vests on. They're, as Natasha pointed out quite clearly, they're not actually journalists. They're propagandists. And there's loads of them in that region, my friends. Far too many to actually count. And you heard Piers defending them. Oh, the Palestinian people with journalist vests on. They're not real journalists. No, they're not. They're not real journalists, Piers Morgan. Like, maybe some are, maybe some aren't. We don't know. There's a lot of information that I don't actually know. But one thing that I do trust, and one thing that Piers Morgan refused to acknowledge, I'll have you know, is Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray went there. Sure, he was embedded with the IDF for his own damn safety. Why would Douglas Murray go there, go into Gaza alone, knowing full well what's going to happen to him? That just doesn't seem like it's smart. I guarantee you, if Piers Morgan were to go over there and see the atrocities for himself, see what's actually happening, see the up close, which is exactly what Douglas Murray did, he would be begging for the IDF to go by his side. He wouldn't go in there by himself. The man's a coward. It's easy, like I said, to point this out. Same with Dave Smith, just going like this all the time from your bedroom or wherever your studio, wherever the hell you are, and talk a big game, but not actually do anything about it. I would love to see him go over there. Wouldn't you? May make him actually wake up a little bit to the realities of what's happening. May make him actually realize that, hey, I probably shouldn't be supporting the terrorist organization. Maybe I should have treated Natasha, who is a very well-respected barrister, I'll have you know, and an expert in international law. Yeah, maybe I should actually have treated her a little bit better. And people are fed up about this. Loads of people on the right and on the left were going, Natasha Hertzstoff is a brilliant and passionate advocate for Israel, but this just isn't the right arena. Piers Morgan Uncensored is a circus, and its ringmaster is an overgrown toddler who hides his grift behind moral outrage. He completely bulldozed her. Yes. Avi Yemeni goes, the best thing to happen to Israel lately is Piers Morgan withdrawing his support. A sure sign they're on the right side, given his flawless track record of being wrong about everything. Yeah. How embarrassing, Piers Morgan. All you could do was shout bullshit when you were outclassed on every front. What a despicable little non-entity you are, mate. If you're not already following Natasha, now's the time. So I think, if anything, loads of people were actually really happy about Natasha's performance. She was quite reserved, if you ask me. She did very, very well. And Piers goes, again, smug, arrogant bastard. Oh, was I beastly and rude to someone spewing obvious bull, you know what, propaganda? I'm so sorry. Sometimes I really can't wait for people like this that are being really smug and arrogant to eat their own words. I really can't wait for that. And there's countless other people. By the way, Piers Morgan interrupted Natasha 60 times. 60 times. What does that tell you? And if anyone has been calling out Piers Morgan, he just goes ahead and blocks you. What a little sniveling coward. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.